Hey YouTube, this is Dean making another vid. If you like my content, please consider hitting the like button. So please consider subscribing, as it is very much appreciated. Okay, discussion piece today on antler builds. Antler file builds. I think these are the classiest builds you can do for antlers. For file builds. I've done a couple here, as you can see. All I've done here is got a piece of antler, if you have access to antler. Now, you can get antler from several places. I know here in Australia, if you can't hunt it and get it yourself or find the castings, the shed antlers, you can buy it from Pet Barn as dog chews. So that's a viable option. The only problem is it's quite expensive. So you get a piece of antler, a large piece I think is about that big, usually has a tine on it, and you can get the crown pieces or whatever. You just go through, but they're about $30 for a piece, a large piece. Then it goes down in price to a small piece, which is usually about that big. I think is I can't remember now. I think it's about $18 for a piece, small piece. But they actually use them as dog chews. But that's where I don't get the chance to hunt deer or find any of the casting, the shed antlers. So I have to buy it. So, but I usually buy one big piece and then get several pieces that I can cut off. I use every bit because it's quite expensive. So I use all the bits, small bits as decorative pieces. I use the tines as toggles and all that. Plus, I make the major parts like this for my file builds, antler file builds. And I think these are, rather than just snapping a file off and using them as a striker, which is perfectly fine, if you can get yourself a piece of antler, it's not that much of a task to wedge it in there and build yourself a really classy looking striker. Like that is a fantastic looking striker. Now all I've done is get the antler, get a piece that you like the looks of, then work out how big you want it to be, cut the channel. I used a hacksaw, cut it down deep enough, so put the file in, put it on there, mark it out, cut it in, and then cut it so that you know thing. Make sure you put some breathing stuff on because it smells terrible as you're cutting it. It smells like fingernails being burnt or something. Yeah, that's the best way I describe it as, or hair being burnt. Yeah, horrible smelling stuff. But yeah, cut it in and then get it so that it fits really nice, and then make sure you leave just enough room, because once you get it in there, and I usually just tap it in with a hammer, but yeah, just get it in there and then glue it in. And you can see on here, I just glue it all up, tap it in, glue it in, and then as you see, now these two here are just files, standard files, and they spark really well, as most files do. This one I actually put in the quench tank. So heated it up to non-critical, to past critical, so it was orange, and then whacked it in the quench tank and hardened it. And it sparks really well. It bounces sparks all over the joint. Let's get an ember with all of them, just to show. Can't make a video without making an ember. But I think these fire builds with the antlers are a fantastic build. They're not that hard and they are very classy. They turn out really well. Nice little ember. That's the quenched one. I think this one is the best one I've done so far. It fits really well. It just feels really good in the hand. It's a fantastic piece. But they just turn out really well, not with the antler. But if you're looking to make one, they're, like I said, they're not that hard to do. And once you do it with the files, if you're making a file striker, I don't see why you wouldn't add a little bit of antler to it, just to class it up a little bit. The files look all right by themselves, and they spark really well. But you add in the antler, and yeah, you've got yourself a really nice striker build. I thought I had one then. Here we go. One more for the small one. There we are. Embers with all of them. But just thought, I think I've done videos before on them, but I just finished that one off. So I thought I'd do another one on antler builds. They're one of my favourite file striker builds. And I think if you take the time, you'll find, put it on the board, it's easier to hold. Yeah, you'll find that you can make a very classy build with a piece of antler and a file. And just use a bit of araldite. 5-minute araldite's probably the best option to glue it in. I was using Gorilla Glue there, but it tends to foam up and expand and go all over the joint, which is not very good. But yeah, I used 5-minute araldite on that one, and it worked really well. But you do find with the file teeth, it grips it as you put it in. So just tap it in with a hammer, and once if it's a reasonably snug fit, you tap it in there, and with the glue in there, it'll never come out. They go in really well, but they do turn out very well. And yeah, they're very classy build. I think they're probably one of the best file builds you can actually do. One of my subscribers did say about using micarta. It would probably be another very good option. I think I'm going to do that too at some stage too. I hadn't actually thought about that before, but yeah, I do like this antler. It's very organic and very tactile. Feels really good in the hand, and yeah, it visually looks very good too. But the files always spark well. That's and you don't have to, if you haven't got access to a forge, don't feel that you have to. You're at a disadvantage if you can't quench them. I don't feel the necessity to having to quench them. It's just now that I've got access to it, access to a forge, I don't see why I wouldn't. But yeah, they do spark very well without quenching, but I do feel that they do, because these are made as files, so they do temper them a bit, which lowers their hardness down a little bit so that they don't break if they are dropped as much. They are still reasonably brittle. Like if you put them in a vise and hit them with a hammer, they snap off very easily. But they do temper them. So, but when you're quenching them in water, which I do, you are making them as hard as possible. So they're probably running at about 65 Rockwell maybe. They might go up as hard as that, where these might be only 61 or 62 Rockwell. So yeah, those few points of difference in Rockwell hardness makes all the difference in sparking as far as the files go. And you'll find files, the old Nicholson, or which is, I think these are all made out of Nicholson files, are made out of either W2 or 1095, which is, if you water quench, you'll find that they will run at that very high Rockwell hardness. That's their quenching with the water quenching. That's their Rockwell hardness. So yeah, I do think that quenching does make them spark a little bit better, but don't feel that you're at a disadvantage if you don't quench it. That's certainly not a necessity, but if you do have the ability to do it, why not? That's what I'm saying. So yeah, but anyway, I'm rambling a bit now. So yeah, fire builds with antlers. Certainly, if you can get your hands on a bit of antler, give it a go. It works out really well. I think they are one of the best builds you can make for files. It certainly classes them up. I think they are a fantastic build. Anyway, thanks for watching.